Tired of doing investment research on stock markets? Wants to go for a walk outside the house with a friend? Introducing iCapital, where you can get investment advice on the go. It is accessible via app and website. Subscribe now to iCapital for stock news. iCapital is reliable because they thoroughly research listed companies, economies, and stock markets. iCapital provides a clear perspective of how markets interact and how it influences your investment. When investors and traders are debating whether to buy or sell their stocks, fret not, as iCapital will recommend Malaysian and global stocks. iCapital is available on Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Huawei App Gallery.
Hi, Teng Boo from Capital Dynamics again. Good to see you all. I guess probably you can see that my background, my surroundings are different from what they normally are. That's because I'm at the moment in Shenzhen, and well, the weather has been kind of rains for about a few hours and then it stopped. But generally it's been great. The temperature is about 23 to 28, so pleasant. And I'm in Shenzhen because this is part of my China trip, my research China trip. I've gone to Shanghai, I've gone to Guangzhou, and I'm in Shenzhen now. We've seen a few companies, semiconductor companies, EV companies, manufacturing related companies, and I guess my purpose of making this trip, multi-purpose, one of the main objectives was to get an updated sense of what is happening to China's economy, where it is heading, how the situation is like on the ground in China. So I do this every now and then, and I think it is a very good way of, instead of just relying on what you read or what you hear from people, it's more accurate in the sense that you interact and you talk with people on the street and with the companies themselves, and then you sort of cross-check them with the things that you read, the things that you hear. So I think this research trip in China has been focused on certain sectors, certain locations, and what I can say is that there's a blend, there's a mixture of anxiety, a mixture of optimism, a mixture of business as usual. If you look at the places like in Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, you can see in Shenzhen there's still a lot of construction, a lot of office building, apartments, and so on. Because Shenzhen is still, although it's progressed a lot in that 30-40 years, in many senses Shenzhen is still catching up with the larger and older cities of Guangzhou and Shanghai. But what I want to focus on this week's talk is on not just China's economy, but to look at the electric vehicle industry and the development of EV in China as a way of a glimpse into China's economy now, a glimpse into what China's economy will be like in the future. I think about 2 weeks ago, I had a session on why we should all, as consumers, why we should all boycott Toyota and the other Japanese automakers like Honda, Mazda, and so on. At that time, I link it to climate change because Toyota really lied about their cars being EV friendly, and not only that, particularly Toyota, because it's the biggest, they conducted and led a lot of campaigns to slow down the transition to EV and to sabotage the transition to EV. Because why? Toyota and Mazda and Honda are way behind in terms of developing and manufacturing the electric vehicles. They are not just Toyota, Honda are not just behind the Chinese EV makers. They're way behind, of course, way behind Tesla, way behind BMW, and way behind Mercedes as well. So what these Japanese car makers, led by Toyota, has resorted to is to cheat and lie and lie and lie. And just a few days ago, you notice this culture of cheating consumers is exemplified by the scandals that was announced just a few days ago in Toyota, in Mazda, in Honda, and even in their motorcycle manufacturer Yamaha. And a lot of this fraudulent, this kind of testing scandals have been around for many years. So that was when I talk about the automakers in context of climate change. This particular talk is about EV and the overall economy, how they are linked and how they can transform and reform an economy. So I think to be in Shenzhen, one of the companies I visited is XPeng, one of my favorite EV companies. Shenzhen is a perfect place because when you drive around, when you walk around Shenzhen, it is a huge city. Don't get me wrong, this is not the city of 500,000 people, 1 million, it's multi-million people. And you're on the road. The roads are quiet because most of the vehicles on the roads in Shenzhen are electric vehicles. The taxis or the TT cars are all EVs, and we have set in so many models. They're all EVs. Efficient, silent. And the buses are all EVs, and you could easily, if you go on a typical road in Shenzhen, I think out of 10 cars, right, you find that half of them would be electric vehicles. And the range, the type of brands is astonishing. It's not just BYD, it's not just Neo XPeng. It is, I mean, some of the brands are totally unheard of. There's one model at the back, it says Beijing. I don't even know where it comes from. So if you use Shenzhen and this EV kind of rising feature, it's not just in Shenzhen. You can find it in Guangzhou, you can find it in Shanghai as well. I mean, Shanghai is a city of 25 million people, right? And zero noise pollution other than carbon dioxide emission. So what you can see is that, and also when we talk to XPeng and all that, is that the electric vehicle industry in China is completely way ahead of any country in the world. Way ahead. You're not just talking about electric vehicles, because now China is moving, has already moved into autonomous driving in a very advanced manner. One reason why I like XPeng is because they have already been approved to do L4 autonomous driving. L1 to L5 would be the different levels. L5 is where the vehicle is completely autonomous, right? Now L4 is where just one level below L5, and if you can achieve L4, you find that in city driving, in highway driving, almost all the time, you don't have to put your hands on the steering wheel anymore. So XPeng has been approved to reach that target. And recently, the Chinese government has also approved another 7 or 9 manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, including BYD and so on, to test autonomous driving at L3. And included in this list of manufacturers is Yutong. Yutong is the largest bus manufacturer in the world. It's based in Zhengzhou. And to show you that China is really ahead of technological development, ahead of meeting the climate change targets. Yizhong does not only produce the traditional internal combustion engine buses, they are a major producer of electric vehicle buses. And if you think that the Chinese car manufacturers or vehicle manufacturers are behind, they are also producing hydrogen buses. It's not just IC engines, it's not just the usual lithium battery electric buses, it's also hydrogen fuel cell buses. So they have a complete range and they are already producing those. So when you look at the entire renewable energy sector in China, particularly when it comes to electric, when it comes to automobiles, because automobiles and the transport sector is the third largest source of carbon dioxide emission. So it's a very important sector if you want to deal with climate change. So what the Chinese government has done is to tackle two problems at the same time, to make sure that as China grows and develops, it does not contribute in any harmful way to environmental deterioration, and at the same time China is able to achieve GDP and development targets. This is the opposite, for example, to Japan. The Japanese government has been working together, pakating, to use a local bahasa word, pakating with the Toyota and all that, to make sure that their car makers remain as traditional car makers and don't move into the renewable energy type. So that's why you find that the Japanese economy is backsliding, whereas the Chinese economy is moving forward. When you watch an economy that's reforming and transforming, you will see both sides of it. You see the negative side, you see the positive side. So it's important for anyone who wants to form an opinion, to have an idea of where the Chinese economy is going. You've got to be objective, because yes, the property sector is down, that's for sure. We talked to a lot of people. Give me a minute, let me have my sip of coffee. You know, you talk to all kinds of people. Yes, a lot of them bought their properties at high prices and now they're holding on to it because the prices have fallen. So that's where most people have felt the brunt of this economic slowdown. On the other hand, you see a huge sector and completely vibrant. The Chinese EV industry is not just doing very well within China. And don't forget, there are no more subsidies. When you buy an EV vehicle in China, the government does not give you any more subsidies. They were withdrawn many years ago. And the people are buying it because it is damn good, the prices are reasonable, and because it helps to save the environment. And what the Chinese government has done is, for example, if you're in Shenzhen, you look at the cars, watch closely. If you see the number plate which is blue in color, that means that car is the internal combustion engine. If you see the number plate is green, that is a EV. So they've gone into very detailed manner to make sure that economic growth is sustained, and at the same time economic development is achieved. At the same time, they are on the way to achieving what the Chinese government calls it as ecological civilization. So the example of EV, I think, is an excellent example to use as to what is happening to the Chinese economy. So if you look at property, you say, oh gosh, China is big. If you look at EV, you say, oh my goodness, the better days of China are still coming. Because at this moment in time, China sells about 30 million vehicles a year, right? That is about the same as the number of vehicles sold in US and Europe combined in a single year. And even though China is selling about 30 million vehicles a year, the car ownership per 1,000 people of China is way below that of America or Europe or Japan. If I remember correctly, China is only about 200 plus vehicles per 1,000. Malaysia, a country which is about the same level of GDP per capita as China, is more than double that. Malaysia is about 500 plus. Japan is 600 plus vehicles per 1,000 people, and America is even higher than that. So the auto industry, whether it's traditional or the renewable energy type in China, is huge. So if the Chinese government can succeed in reforming and transforming the entire auto industry, you'll find that the Chinese economy is heading for better days. The better days of China have still not arrived. So for those of you who are interested, not just about the economy, but interested in investing in Chinese stocks, I'm going to hold a one-day seminar at the end of August this year on the Chinese economic situation. I'll talk about the Chinese economy from the political point of view, the geopolitical point of view, historical point of view, and of course from the economic point of view. And in this one-day seminar, I will give you specific stock picks. In other words, identify for you individual Chinese companies that we think is worthwhile to invest in. This will make it very different from the usual type of seminar where they just give you macro outlook. So I think another way of trying to understand the rapid development and growth of China is, I'm drinking latte in a cafe in Shenzhen. This cup of latte is as good as any latte in New York, London, or Sydney, or wherever it is. This is 2024. When I had my first cup of latte or cappuccino in Shanghai, I think it was in 2005. At that time, it was horrible. It was more like milk, and then somehow they accidentally threw in a few coffee beans inside it. It was not cappuccino, it was not latte. 15, 20 years later, even in a simple thing of a very Western item for consumption, like cappuccino latte, they have reached their level and surpassed it. Now in China, Starbucks used to be the market leader. Luckin, which is a locally grown coffee chain, which sort of went bust and then now have come back, and they have come back so strongly that Luckin is now bigger than Starbucks in China, and that is selling Western coffee. So just a very simple example of the speed of growth and transformation of the Chinese economy. I mean, for it to achieve that, of course, the Chinese people have also got to modernize, change their attitudes, change their lifestyle, which they have done it without losing their Chineseness. So I think my key take is this. I'm glad I come for this trip because it is very hectic. I went to 3 cities within a couple of days, but productive because I get a lot of insights that I couldn't get by just reading or listening to the news and so on. And I think I've been optimistic about the Chinese economy, about China, like forever. I think for the last 25 years, I've never been negative or worried about China even for one moment. So that optimism is not only reinforced, I think I feel even more justified in being so positive and optimistic about China and China's economy. So I think the contrast that I have between say Xpeng, BYD and say Toyota and Honda, it's like day and night. Toyota, like I want to repeat again, please boycott Toyota because they destroy the planet, the environment, and they lie and lie and lie. And then on the other hand, you have the top quality EVs. We sat in BYD Han, which is a big sedan. It's almost as big like Porsche Panamera. Inside was spacious. And then, oh yeah, before I forget, when Xpeng introduces their G6 into Malaysia, and if you can afford it, please buy it. When we saw Xpeng, we test drive their G6. From the outside, you think that, oh my, it looks a bit bigger than maybe my V or something like that. Inside, it is really spacious. I drive, for those of you who have been asking, I drive a Volvo hybrid, right, the S90. And this G6, which is shorter than the Volvo S90, inside, it is more spacious than my Volvo. The leg room at the back was I'm about 5'10", about 173, 174 cm. My legs cannot touch the front seat. And even though it's G6, they already had a lot of autonomous driving features in it. We test drive the car not in a smooth, carless highway. We test drive this car right in a very congested part of Shenzhen, part of Guangzhou, and where there's a lot of construction, a lot of distraction, and the car was able to change lanes autonomously without any problem. So I'm waiting for G6, and it has a range of about 700 kilometers. 700 kilometers range. That means you can drive from KL to Penang to and fro without having to charge. My goodness, no wonder Toyota is worried. No wonder Toyota has to lie and cheat, because they're going to be dinosaurs soon. Toyota will be a dinosaur in the next couple of years. So you have one economy that is like a dinosaur, and one economy that is like reborn, rebirth, and the better days have yet to come. So with that, as usual, give your comments, share, like, whatever it is. Make sure that you come and attend our one-day seminar at the end of August 2024. We'll give you more details when they are confirmed. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good weekend.